Hi, it's Anthony from CarPlayLife.com, and today we're checking out the new Coral Vision CarPlay Dashboard Console Lite Edition. This is very similar to their previous model, but it is a cheaper, slightly lesser powered, light version of their CarPlay Dashboard Console. So here's everything that you get in the box. You get the light console itself, you get the charging cable, you get a glass 3M sticking plate to put onto your dashboard if you don't want to attach it to your windscreen. You get a very similar to their other models windscreen mount for the display itself if you want to attach it to your windscreen. Paper manual guide on how to fit it and use the product as well. And as an optional extra, you can get a rear view camera module with a very long lead to take it to the console at the front of the car, to the module at the back, and some screws to attach to the back of your car. That's an optional extra. And a 35mm aux cable, that's roughly about 50 centimeters in length. So we won't be installing the back camera. It needs to splice the rear cable into the car, and that's something I'm not prepared to do myself. But as this is an optional extra, doesn't come with the whole entire kit, and it is something that you would have to look into on the installation instructions that come with it. So these are the products that you get with the actual main Lite model edition. Let's just have a quick look at the display itself. It feels way much lighter. So let's compare it to the Pro Complete model. So a little bit of history. They first launched the original console with a TF port on the side, audio input, AV in for rear view camera, DC in for power from the 12-volt adapter, and USB for lightning charger. If you've got the wired model or wireless, you'd get this anyway. And the console itself was relatively fairly powered, but it did have a few little issues where it would fall over a little bit in terms of its performance once it got up and running. But that's basically the original head unit that came out. Then came out its replacement. This is the Pro Complete. If you were to look at the sides, that's the only real way to sort of tell them apart, really. You got the same DC in, USB connection is the same. A new addition of USB-C, so that's how you would connect your iPhone through the USB-C to Lightning cable. Same audio out for aux and AV in for the rear view camera. On the other side, it's no different on the top. It's pretty much exactly the same chassis that they've used. If you can see that the Pro Complete is just a little bit thicker. On the back, they are attached of exactly the same way. And also on the back, the attachment point is pretty much exactly the same as well in terms of its 4 claws that go into the back. This has a bit more ventilation on the back, and definitely it is way thinner than their previous model. The display in terms of size is exactly the same. However, you would get slightly thinner bezels, and it just looks a little bit in terms of light, in terms of this looks a little bit more pro with its silver edging and glass screen compared to this model with its plastic edging. And it does have a more sort of plastic display. So you can tell in terms of it kind of gives away the same kind of glare. So there's not really much difference there between the two displays. Obviously this has got way more fingerprints on it. In terms of weight, this is way lighter. Also a reason for the light name. The cable that powers the display is pretty much exactly the same. I'm not really sure on its length yet, but it does look very similar in terms of its length and its connection point. And obviously it's a fused adapter that runs at 12 volts and has an output of 12 volts, 3 amps as well to power the system and allow you to power a device from the USB cable as well and charge your phone. In terms of the mounting bracket, to me, it looks exactly the same as what they have already. Exactly the same in terms of how it connects, how it adjusts itself, and the arm that protrudes out to give you a little extra space on your dashboard as well as how this attaches with its sort of plunge system at the bottom. So we've got a connected to the wall here before we put this in the car. Let's have a quick go over with the ports that are available. So we've got the same AV in for the rear view camera. We've got audio out for the aux output. We've got USB-C in, similar to the Pro Complete model. We've got the USB-A input as well for USB media only. And we've got our DC in here as well. There's a mic on the side rather than at the front on the Pro model. The mic isn't in the front at all, nor is it on the side here. It would have been nice to have dual microphone for right-hand drive cars, because this is sticking out on the left here. And that pretty much looks like a reset button hole to me, and not a mic, which is probably mirrors what's on the Pro Complete. All right, so let's get this plugged in and see how well it powers up. So it fires up pretty quickly. Everything is as you'd expect with the Pro model, really, to me. You've got home options, you've got display brightness on and off, you've got dark mode and daytime mode, you've got your volume indicators, goes up to 40. You've got USB media indicator on the right here, and Bluetooth connection indicator, and there's a persistent back button there. It doesn't know what time it is at the moment. This is all incorrect at the moment. So we've got our standard options here across the bottom. You've got Android Auto, we've got CarPlay, we've got Bluetooth phone options, Bluetooth music and USB media. And then we've got settings and the FM transmission options to get this connected to your car stereo. So let's just quickly jump into settings here. We've got language options, we've got set the date and time. Here we've got brightness options. It's at 5 at the moment. It definitely makes the background a lot more grayer. So I don't know what kind of panel this is using, and I'll put that down below if I ever find out. But for now, that's all the settings that you can do with the display. Volume settings is also separate here, and we're running the HP207 version 233 option at the moment. Upgrading is done through bin files that you would have to put on a USB stick. This is your radio modes. So here you can basically set your FM tuner to the radio station region in your country. And here's you've got switches to set on how you're going to connect to the device, either through wireless or wired. Here you can set the CarPlay display to show between the different locations of the dock for CarPlay. So if you're right-hand drive, you can set this to have the dock on the right. What Android Auto is going to go to between Auto Link and mirroring, or Android Auto. Same for CarPlay. You can either have CarPlay or you can have mirroring as well. But what I found is that was a little bit hit and miss on the Pro Complete, and you had to use the wire to get the best performance out of it. This doesn't scroll, but Wi-Fi Auto Link will probably fire up the connection and connect to your phone without you have to manually do it instead. So we'll turn that on for now. This is the Wi-Fi password for CarPlay if you have to connect to it separately, and that's it. So we'll just put that down for now. Right, so let's first get this connected to wireless CarPlay. So we've got our phone here. We're going to connect to the Bluetooth settings. We should find it very soon. We'll just go home here. This is the unit, so we're going to connect to the unit itself. The pairings match, so we're pairing. Going to allow our contacts. It's now connected. Do we want to use it for CarPlay? Yes, we do. So let's just go in here. CarPlay is on. We'll just set this to a car stereo, and then we'll come back. So right now it's not connecting to CarPlay right now. So this is an issue that I found with some other head units that we've used recently, in that it doesn't know what to connect to. So it should be operating under a Wi-Fi connection. If it's not, we should be able to find it soon. So we're going to take mirror link off, so I think that might be fighting with the connection. And we're going to turn off the display and then power it back up again and see if we can auto connect to CarPlay. So we've got a driving reminder here. We can turn that off. So now it's going to hopefully fire up CarPlay. Connected, and we're now into CarPlay. So it just needed a bit of a restart to get us in, but we're now into CarPlay on this little console here. So now we're in CarPlay, we can do everything that we'd expect to be able to do from here. Let's just test out the speaker. What we'll do, we'll just fire up some royalty-free music.
Well, here we are, back in the hot, muggy streets of New York.
So we've got the standard traits of the 2-second delay audio that we've normally going to get with wireless CarPlay. You can hear that the sound from the speakers, inboard speakers, are firing out the back. So in theory, once you have it on your dashboard, you should be able to hear that fire against your screen and hopefully come back at you. It would have been nice if the speakers were on the front and they had a little bit more depth to them, but we've got to bear in mind here that this is a light model, and if you want to have all those bells and whistles, we'll probably have to look out for a more, hopefully a revised version of their console in the future. Let's try calling in Siri. Hey Siri, send a message to test.
What do you want to say?
This is a text message.
Your message to test says this is a text message. Ready to send it? Okay, it's sent.
Hey Siri, send an audio message to test.
Okay, recording.
Hi, this is Anthony from CarPlayLive.com, and this is a audio test message using the Coral Vision CarPlay Dashboard Console Lite Edition with its microphone that is positioned on the left-hand side of the console. I'll quickly tap it now to make sure it is using that microphone, and this is an audio test. So the audio sounds like it's a little bit hissy in the background there, but I've played it back for you and you can let your own decisions on what the quality of the microphone is like for you. But as for GPS, that's going to come through the phone itself. There's no need for onboard GPS here. It's got the report incidents in the UK. That seems to be hit and miss for me at the moment. It sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. Everything else works as you'd expect for CarPlay. The display, it definitely has some sort of glare to it if you have this shining right at sunlight, so you might have a bit of an issue there. But it's definitely tactile and it's definitely responsive. I think it has the same processing power as the Pro Complete. It's just that the display and the construction is using lighter materials, so they can save a bit of cost there. Let's try some media playback. So we've got a USB stick here. We don't have to worry about USB-C. We'll plug that in to the side here, and then that's going to start firing up. So it's auto playing some of our audio files already. Some file formats may not be supported. So we've got some dot files here. They're the ones that weren't compatible, but we can go and skip through those. So this video hasn't got any audio in it. Let's try another format. So you've got MP4. That's a little bit sharper, a little bit better compression quality. Not a problem there. This won't play YouTube, by the way. It's just onboard media. So here we can see if the bitrate plays with the artifacting down here on some systems. It's not doing it here. So media playback with the built-in player is pretty decent. There's no artifacting going on here, which is good. That's the high bitrate video. And then that's that one. So it plays media playback totally fine. We've also got image support for BMP files, hopefully, and JPEGs. Oddly though, the JPEGs aren't playing on this display, but in all honesty, I'm not that bothered. I'm more bothered about media playback for audio and videos. Okay, let's try audio from a Android phone. So here we have something playing back, some video that's looping at the moment. And we're going to connect this to Bluetooth, and we're going to try and connect to this device here. So I'm going to disable Bluetooth, which is going to disable CarPlay on my iPhone. And then we're going to reconnect on the Android. We're going to say yes, why not? So from with Bluetooth phone, you can go through and actually dial out. You can then check your calendars, authorized contacts. So you can actually look at all the phone calls, your contacts from here. You can view your recents, and also you can look at your Bluetooth naming, whether you want to auto answer any phone calls and auto connect once it's been paired. So that's Bluetooth phone. Bluetooth music. We are currently playing a YouTube video, so let's just try Spotify. So this is now playing out. So I'm going to do it through Bluetooth audio. So you've got to whack the audio on the phone up, and you can actually control the device that way as well through the controls here. So that's Bluetooth music. It's pretty straightforward. So let's now try Android Auto. So we're going to disconnect the USB-C media from the device, and now we're going to plug in USB-C into the USB-C input on the actual device itself. So that's going into the USB-C input port, and we're going to connect up the Android device here and see what happens. I haven't got wireless Android Auto, unfortunately, so I can't really test that out for you. That's detecting it by the looks of it. I'm just going to dismiss this pop-up, and now we're now running Android Auto on the display. That's just fired up Google Maps without any problem. Spotify is able to continue. So we can play and pause it here. We can switch to music if you want and navigate through that way. We can view alerts. We can do Google Assistant. Hello.
Howdy, partner.
You can go home and look at all the apps that are available at the moment on your Android device. So we've got Spotify here. We can actually then do everything through that and play that out without any problem. Your phone connection, your battery and your signals are all going to be what pass through as expected through Android Auto. So to exit, you would have to press exit. You can then hit that, you can go back into it again, and then you can go through that way. Responsiveness is pretty good. I'm quite impressed with that. It's just that the display is just a little bit more grainy than the Pro Complete version. Again, the GPS is going to come through the phone. It's not going to come through the system. And audio is going to get relayed either through FM transmission, through the built in the actual console itself, or you can use an aux cable, plug it into the side here and actually have it play out through your car aux input if it has one. So for screen mirroring, you have to switch this over iOS mirror, and then I think you need to then restart the device. So we're going to pull that out, plug that back in. And over on here, it's probably not going to connect to CarPlay at this point. CarPlay shouldn't show, and iOS mirror actually comes back in as an option. So there's no guide on telling you what you need to do here. You basically need to connect to the Wi-Fi hotspot that is in play. You've got another one here that if this doesn't work, that will try that out as well. And then once connected to the Wi-Fi hotspot, under screen mirroring, it now changes to a local AirPlay connection. And then once paired, you then got screen mirroring operational. And at that point, function as intended. The lag is pretty good. So fire up YouTube, got our YouTube account here.
And we're in the car today, and we're going to take a quick look
So we
at
can then
iOS 15,
rotate it,
Public
and then we
Beta
got
2,
full screen on this.
CarPlay.
It's not going
And
full
see what is
screen.
new and
You have
what
to
is
pinch
coming
and zoom for that.
soon.
And
We're
you,
not gonna
you've
go
still
into
got
the
full
things
bars
that
here.
aren't
It's not really
related
going
to
full
CarPlay
screen.
that some other videos have spoken
But the sound's
about,
coming
such as
from the
car
actual
key,
screen itself, so that's
and
quite good.
also,
But
lossless
it's not really
audio
that much
for
different to
Apple
an
Music,
iPhone
not
Pro
really
or
CarPlay
iPhone
related
13
items,
in terms of
so
screen
they'll
real
be
estate, so you're not really
tricky to
gaining much
going
there.
onto their videos
But at
and
least you can
finding
then
out
put that
if
phone
you've
away and you've got
CarPlay
it
features
beaming
are
onto
coming.
here instead.
And to be honest, there's not really that many coming.
But things like anything like Netflix and stuff like that, that's not going to function. So everything from browsing the actual films and TV shows on Netflix is doable. But as soon as you actually have to then stream it, it'll play previews without a problem. So trailers are totally fine. But if you were to play the actual film, it will play on your phone. Audio will come on the actual display itself. You won't be able to see anything on the actual screen itself. So that's because it's copyrighted material, and the same goes for anything such as Disney Plus. That's going to be the same. So again, you can probably play trailers. So it's complaining about an HDMI cable. So let's see if we can continue. Yeah, it's not going to like that either. So that's Disney Plus. So anything that's related to copyright material in terms of apps will have a problem. But things like YouTube and TikTok should work without any problems. Yep, TikTok plays totally fine, but because you can't rotate the screen, it's not going to make the best benefit out of this display anyway, because you can't rotate the actual content. So that's TikTok and YouTube. They work totally fine, but any other copyright material will not work on this display through screen mirroring. So that's screen mirroring over iOS. We now got the Android device here. We can actually then connect to the Wi-Fi network. We'll need to swap this over and go to Android Auto and turn that to Auto Link. So we'll come out of that. We need to reboot the device. And we've got the Wi-Fi network here. So we need to punch those numbers in. 6 4 6s, 4 8s. We're now connected to this. So now once we're connected, we can then go to Screencast. So for Android, I think it needs an app called AutoLink Pro. I couldn't actually find it on the App Store itself, but I did find that I already had the app installed. So here it is here, if you want to search for it on the Google Play Store. And because my phone isn't Android 11 yet, I need to use a cable. So I'm going to plug in a USB-C cable into the side, and then once it's connected, it will ask us, do we want to connect? Disable that, start now, And then now we've got our phone mirroring on the device itself. Not quite sure that's about. I think that just shows the menu. But we can, at that point, we can control the phone from the device. We've also got touch through. You can actually swipe and actually control the device from the display, which is really, really nice. That only comes through the app itself. And we can go the same thing again. We can go through YouTube. We can play videos through YouTube in this way. And again, if we expand the view, it's going to go full screen. You can then stretch it to go to that, but it's still bordered. And here you can scrub through. It's quite accelerated though. Pause and play and go to the next music track and that. So that's pretty cool. Let's try Netflix. So for Netflix, we'll try and play an actual film. Again, copyright material, so it's going to play on the phone, but not on the actual device itself. And it's very likely it's going to be the same for Disney Plus. So playing on the phone, not actually on the display itself. So any copyrighted material will still have the issue and it still won't work with passing video through that way. But you've got YouTube, you've got TikTok and things like that. If you want to play it in landscape and any other app that utilizes landscape view, you can actually have it across the whole display. Right, so that's the general coverage of what the Pro Lite display from Coral Vision does. We're going to jump in the car now just to show you how to get it installed in the actual car itself, and we'll just lightly go over the same kind of functionalities of what it can do in the car in terms of connecting the audio to your car stereo. Right, so we're in the car, we've connected the mount to our windscreen. There's two ways of going about it. You can actually rotate the arm one way and then have the arm pointing upwards to reduce the amount of travel for the mount, or you can actually rotate it the other way. And alongside the moving arm part of the mount, you can actually extend the arm quite further down. So if you've got a very deep front windscreen, you can cater for that as well. So make sure your glass is nice and clean when you attach the mount arm onto the screen itself. Then you can just add the power cable and then wire it to the back of the dashboard, and then along to the side of the passenger well, down through the well and through some of your car interior to where the 12-volt cigarette lighter socket is in your car. Mine's in the center compartment down here, so that's where I'll be relocating it through. There's some interior that you can then pass it through, such as a glove box. And if you've got a 12-volt charger in your glove box, then happy days, you've got less cable routing to do. This isn't a permanent fixture for me. I've already got CarPlay, but if you've got a car stereo that hasn't got CarPlay at all, this is a very easy way without having to rip out a factory fitted or an aftermarket stereo that hasn't got CarPlay. You can just literally attach this screen onto your car. Because it's so lightweight, you can actually mount it onto a vent mount if you wanted to bring it off the dash if you find that a little bit restrictive in your view when you're driving. But when you do have it mounted, you need to have everything all nice and tight because you are actually touching the screen. You don't want it to move about. You want it very sturdy when you're actually tapping the screen. So with everything wired up and it's into the power, the next thing is audio. So what we'll be doing first is showing you how transmission works through the FM radio, and then we'll do the aux input as well, which is very straightforward for getting the best audio quality out of your car as well. So we're going to put the camera into the middle of the car and then we'll cover those two areas. So we're going to fire up the Coral Vision display. Now I've got this angled towards the camera, so it's better for you, but for me I would probably have it to the right, and so it's actually more in view and more tactile and touchable. If I had the mount, the ball socket for a vent mount, I would probably attach this to a vent mount and bring it lower down still. So the first things first, we're going to do FM transmission. So FM transmission, you have to go to the transmitter. This is the screen for the FM transmitter. We now need to find a free local frequency that doesn't have any interference. So I've got 90.50 megahertz here. So if I dial in 90 and then do 50, so it matches, and I turn this on, that now goes. This is now transmitting at 90.50 megahertz, and I've tuned in my radio to 90.50 megahertz as well. So now if I go back to the home screen, I'm just going to quickly re-enable CarPlay and also Android Auto, and then the console needs to restart. So I'm going to turn off, then back on. The FM is now transmitted and it's now coming through on the stereo. And then for CarPlay, it should either auto start or I have to then connect to Bluetooth. So I'm going to connect to Bluetooth here. It's now connected, and then that should connect to wireless CarPlay in a few seconds. Here we go. So we're now into CarPlay. We can now put that phone away. So if we go into Spotify and quickly do a royalty-free play. So now we got this going. That's now playing. Now, because this is using nothing to do with the car stereo, if I went to go forward and back, it's going to change my frequency of the radio because that's how my car stereo is set up. There is a way of getting some wheel controls if your system uses Bluetooth, and I'll go over that in a minute. But basically, CarPlay is going to function as intended. You can also do, hey Siri, send a message to test. Hi, my name is Anthony.
Your message to test says, hi, my name is Anthony. Ready to send it? Okay, it's sent.
So one thing you don't get the control over on most CarPlay systems itself, you don't get the independent navigation volume to music volume. It's all going to come through in one, well, basically your radio station volume. So you'd have to play around with that there, but the navigation or Siri is all going to come over the same volume level as your audio music. So that's one detriment of this system, and it'd be nice for them to implement that if that would be possible in a future revision. But if you don't have wheel controls anyway, you can use Siri to go forward and back. Hey Siri, next. So you can do it that way, or you can do, hey Siri, direct me to Brighton Station.
Getting direct to Brighton Station.
And you can then hit go, and then you can then go through, right? And then everything's all nice and fluid, very tactile. Performance is great. And you can do everything else you can do with CarPlay. And it's all coming through the car stereo speakers over FM transmission. So the next thing we'll do is aux. So if I turn the FM, so by going home, go into settings, go into transmitting, that's now gone. That's now coming out of the speakers here. Pause that for a second. I've got our aux cable here. So I'm going to plug that into the side, which is the next one down from the top. Now, unfortunately, 50 centimeters is a little bit too short for me. So they're hoping that your dash aux input is somewhere at the front, but mine is right down the bottom here. So unfortunately, this cable is a little too short for me. So I've got a longer 3.5mm aux input cable. So we're going to connect this to the aux input in the car. And then we're going to put the other end into the aux output on the console itself. That's now connected over the aux input. Now in the stereo side, you need to make sure that aux is turned on, and with it turned on, you can now play. So the audio is now coming through the aux output into the aux input of your car stereo if it has one. So that's really good. Nice clean audio coming in through the car stereo, and then you'd have to then wire this cable alongside the power cable along and then down into your aux input that way as well. So if your car actually has Bluetooth functionality, what you can do is you can then go to Bluetooth for your vehicle, turn it on if it's not on already, and then set up Bluetooth device and connect it to your iPhone. So it's now connecting to Bluetooth here. So I'm going to connect to my Bluetooth. Got a pair here, got to allow syncing favorites. Now my iPhone is paired. Now if I go to the system again, I'll close this down. I then go to Bluetooth audio. Spotify is now playing over this, my stereo. So my phone in the stereo is now connected over Bluetooth. I can change, I can use my wheel controls. So that's all working. I can do volume, but that's part of the system anyway. So all this is now connected to just the car. Now with CarPlay, this is still now admitting over CarPlay. So now I can go into CarPlay here, go into Spotify, and I can control to the next track, and it's going to display what I'm using on my phone through CarPlay. Plus I have wheel control support over Bluetooth. The only detriment is any navigation commands is not going to come across on this system. It's going to come across on this display here. So
Southeast on Stanmore Avenue, then turn right onto Hempstead Road.
So you're going to get audio navigation on the actual system itself, a bit like a sat nav, so that's not too bad. Then you're going to get your Bluetooth audio playing out over your car stereo using wheel controls, and then you can then go to here, go home, then you can actually have what's playing. Your passenger can navigate through this system, or they can navigate through your car system instead, and you've got your wheel controls to control your music through your wheel controls as well as navigation on this display. So that's one way of doing audio as well, if you've got a Bluetooth enabled stereo that you can pair your phone to. But that's it in a nutshell. You've got the very nice display. It's very good. It's got the same performance as the CarPlay Pro Complete. So all you're paying a little bit less for is the less glass display and the more cheaper looking plastic casing that's around it. But for me, from this point, I think I prefer this over the Pro version. It's the bezels are a little bit thinner, so it feels a little bit lighter profile. And the best thing of all is that because it's so light, you could then find a ball joint vent mount that works with the same ball joint on this mount here, and actually have it mounted lower down on your system as well. That might be an option for you too. And then that gets all the cables a bit further down. You don't have to worry about going over the cockpit itself, so that's not a big problem for you if you do it that way. If you're looking to get CarPlay in your car and you haven't got a CarPlay enabled stereo and you don't want to go through the burden of getting a new install or paying for someone to get a new installed unit, or maybe your car doesn't even support that ability but you do have an aux input or FM stereo, then this is a really nice clean way to get CarPlay in your vehicle. Alright, I hope you found there's some value in this video. If you have, please leave us a like down below and let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this CarPlay Lite from Coral Vision. You can check out all my CarPlay reviews up in this playlist here. Hit the subscribe button down below to catch all my future content, and I hope to see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.